Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican and a Redneck Father the World. We are your host and surrogate fathers, Juan and Ben. Today we'll be discussing how to provide for your family without feeling like you are dying inside.
So, what I really want to focus on this is like living your dream. Are you living your dream in secret, or are you bringing your family along for the ride?
Ooh.
You know, and this is kind of a big one. I mean, it's been a big one for me because this is something that I've kind of like in the last few years I've been realizing like what is it that I want to live. You know, there's several goals that I've already accomplished that as in my early 20s I was like, man, if I can get to this point, it'll be awesome. You know? And for me, quite frankly, was being married, having a good job to be able to provide for my family.
Check and check.
You know, one of the biggest goals for myself was like, man, if I can bring my wife home and allow her to be a stay-at-home mom.
Big check mark.
Big check. You know, so you check these things that you look back and you're like, man, that was so big. But then it's like, I've been finding myself asking, like, what's the next big thing? And then, so then you have dreams, you have desires, you have vision. You're like, man, if I can do this. But then you start finding yourself to where you're like kind of doing these things separated from your family because you're trying to find the next big thing that you're going to be doing. But then one of the things that I found myself doing is like, okay, am I trying to live my dreams by myself and then bring them along once I've accomplished them? Because for the longest time, I was working to get to this point to where I have this family. But now that I have this family, am I trying to separate myself from them because now they're getting in my way of my dreams? Or am I taking into account like, okay, I am no longer an individual, but I am now a member of this family. I've created this unit. Am I sharing my vision with them? Are we creating a family vision? Or do we each have our own individual dreams that we're trying to live in a frustrated manner?
Oh, that's good.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like
perspective.
Yeah. So then a lot of guys might be out there and be like, well, my wife doesn't listen to me. Well, do you listen to her?
Oh.
You know?
Ouch.
Do you take the time?
That's an emotional body slam. Just bam! Right on the table. Emotional body slam.
And I'm speaking for myself.
Sure.
Because it's like, for the longest, there's been periods in time where I'm like, well, look what I did for you, woman. I brought you home. You're able to be at home with the kids. This is what you wanted. Why are you complaining?
Yes.
But it's because there's not like, I'm doing things. She's grateful for where she's at, but there's like, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Just be a stay-at-home mom, taking care of these kids. But then what's going to happen when they grow up?
Right.
And then that's where we have this. I feel like that's where we have this scenario where like the moms or wives, the moms become so involved with their kids, or and dads too become so involved with the kids that becomes their goal, their destiny. And then when the kids are gone, it's like, oh, you're still here. What you been doing the last 18 years, woman?
You still looking good after all this time. All right.
You want to make me a sandwich? or she may not. She may not be looking because she's wore out because she's been taking care of those kids. But now you're in a relationship and you're having to get to know each other again. I've seen that. And then like you see that where then like the kids are growing up and then you come back home for Christmas or holidays and like parents comes like, hey, mom and dad, we're getting a divorce. Like, why? Oh, we just grew apart. Why did you grow apart? Because we weren't together in this journey. And and it's like, if I want to be a good dad, it's not just the process like, oh, let me just be a good dad while you're from the age of 1 to 18, and then once you're out of the house, like you're on your own. No, it's being a good dad goes beyond that.
Wow.
Because then you have the grandkids, and it's like you want your kids to be like, oh yeah, Grandma and Grandpa are awesome. I want to be like Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
But why are they awesome?
Yeah. Woo! So I think when you told me we're going to do this episode, because Juan and I each will pick one and we'll alternate every week as you hear them. And when you told me this, I was like, I don't know where he's going with this. But now that you say this, so when my daughter Aria was first born, I have 3 lovely children now, Aria, Solomon, and Eliora, and super proud. When she was first born, I was a diesel technician, and it was a great job. I had worked my way up to shop foreman, And yeah, it was just like, I'm getting to fix these trucks. I'm feeling accomplished at work. And like work, and me and my wife, we were like there and unified and everything was good. And then our daughter comes along, and then I realized, oh my goodness, that I had a day where I went to work before she woke up at like, I had to be there at 7 for something. And then I came home after she went to bed, which was like, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night or something. So I'd work like a 13-hour day. And 60 to 80 hours was just kind of common work practice then. But I was on call all the time, and I completely missed a whole day of my daughter's life for work. And I had this, I mean, it was terrible for me. It was the worst thing, because the whole purpose for me in my life, my whole goal was to be a good family man, a good father. And I thought, I can't have days like this. I have to see my kids.
Yeah.
I have to see my daughter. That was, to this day, it is one of the most, like, and I guess just because the weight of the reality of what had happened hit me. Because I realized I didn't set myself up. I didn't do it right. And I just started thinking, I got to get out. I got to get out. I got to do something different. I can't keep doing this particular situation. And so my wife, who had a job also at the time with a very good company, she said, okay, well, you're halfway through your bachelor's degree. Why don't you go back and finish it? And I had recently bought a house, and the realtors liked the way I handled getting the house because it was so crappy. It was actually deemed uninhabitable, and it was going to be a live-in flip. And it was so crappy that I had to get a product loan with a balloon payment after so many years instead of a mortgage, because that's how bad the house was. But we bought it anyways. We did it. And they're like, we love what you did. We loved how you figured everything out. Do you want to be a realtor? And so my wife said, all right, quit your job, become a realtor, do that while getting your bachelor's degree and being a stay-at-home dad. She's amazing. My wife's the most, I have a bias, but she's the most amazing wife ever. And for her to just say, let's do this plan together. And I spent years working. So from 2013 to 2018, I spent those 5 years being a stay-at-home dad, working on my bachelor's degree, and flipping 2 houses on the side. And the real estate thing didn't pan out at all. And then I tried multi-level marketing, and I realized I wasn't good at any of those things. But I grew a lot from it. What I'm saying is now I'm in an amazing place. My wife has come home. She's getting to homeschool. She's getting to live out her dream because we aligned and made our dreams instead of just her dream or my dream.
Yeah. But isn't that awesome? Like you had that moment. You've experienced that moment where you're in unity. You're working together and accomplishing the same dream. So then your strengths and capabilities are combined with her strengths and capabilities, and you create this dynamic duel of just, it's like you get it accomplished. But then when we try to live our individual dreams, like I'm living my dreams, she's living her dreams. Well, what you're doing in that scenario, instead of combining your strengths, you're combining your frustrations. Because then she's frustrated because she's not able to do what she wants to do. You're frustrated because you're not able to do what you want to do. And then you come together and it just becomes frustration central. So instead of becoming a dynamic duel and having that synergy to accomplish those dreams, it becomes this pit of chaos and destruction. And then you get into like, well, she doesn't understand me. Maybe I need to find somebody else. It's like, no, you're not living the same dream. You're not sharing this. You're trying to live a secret life. You may not even know it. You may be thinking like your intentions may be completely genuine, honest, and noble. Where like, I'm just trying to be a good provider for my kids. Well, I'm just trying to be a good wife for my husband. But you're not. You're
not taking that honest look.
Yes.
And perspective.
Yes.
Oh.
And it's like like simple situation. Like I found myself kind of getting in that rut where like here I have these kids, here I have this amazing wife. But I'm allowing negativity to come in because we don't have a shared vision. Like, where are we going? Okay, now you're home. You're working at this job. What do we want next? And then, like for me, it's like I want us to be able to raise our children together. I want us for our kids to be part of our life, but not necessarily be our life. You know, I don't want our kids to be like, oh, you know, we got dance, we got football, we got this. Like, no. You can have your sports, you can have that, but we're gonna live life together as a unit. Because at the end of the day, when you guys are gone, I want to have a great relationship with my wife.
Oh yeah.
You know, I want to be, you know, I still want to be attracted to her by the time you guys are out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then there's still dreams and desires that her and I have to accomplish together. You know, and you see that. When you see that, it's like it energizes the kids.
Oh yeah.
It energizes your community.
Well, your daughter's going to want to marry a good man.
Yeah.
Your son's going to want to be a good man, but be very careful when choosing his future wife.
Yeah. And it
There's
makes
going to be a tale of caution because they see the work and responsibility that you have on your shoulders, and you're not just floating through life.
Yeah. And then the arguments change. You know, you may get into an argument with her, but it's not an argument of like, oh, she's not listening. Like, oh, no, we have a problem, but we're working together to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
It may get a little bit heated, but at the end of the day, we're going to come out of this better because we're actually working together to solve this problem.
Because your goal isn't massaging your pride and your wants. Your goal is how do we make our relationship better?
Exactly.
So the arguments don't become as heated because you're not trying to be right.
Right.
You're trying to figure out a solution.
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And so, and I think, you know, it's like, I don't know, I feel like if we just got this thing right, man, it's like, oh man, life would be so much better. You know, it's like, I keep on thinking about like, when you're a young man and you're pursuing your wife and you're chasing after her and she's that beauty, it's that thing, it's just like, oh man, if I can just get her, life is going to be amazing, you know? And then you get her and you're like, oh, and there's that honeymoon phase where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, she's making me a sandwich, and then we're getting it on, watching TV shows together. Like, oh, she wants to do stuff, and I'll go do it with her. It's cool because you know it's awesome. But then it gets to a point where like, oh, I want to do other stuff. She wants to do other stuff. But if you don't take the time to communicate with each other and be like, this is what we want to do together, then it gets to the points where like you start to get bored. You start to get frustrated. You start to get annoyed. And the next thing you know, it's like you have that wandering eye. Then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're hanging out with the boys more, or whatever. And then you start growing apart instead of growing together. You know, instead of becoming that unit to where the longer you become stronger and stronger and more connected.
Yeah, and just like you, as you said very well, you slowly grow apart. It's small choices that make you slowly grow apart. I'm going to go hang out with the boys tonight instead of stay with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we're supposed to do a date night, but I'll just let that one drop this month or week or whatever. And you start doing those slow changes, and before you know it, you're this guy you never wanted to be, this husband or father you never wanted to be. And then, you know, there's the flip side of it when you're making the good choices. And you're like, well, I'm going to make sure every other Friday night, because that's what Krista and I do, we're having a date night. It might be sitting on the couch at our house, but we're going to do it. There's not going to be any kids, and I'm still going to know who she is without my kids around. And I know not everybody can do that. I know not everybody has that luxury, but finding ways to make sure that you still get to know who she is while you're raising your kids, super important.
And even and her knowing too, like for something that I've done with my wife is like, we just have dream talks. Like she'll ask me, like, look, hey, are you actually wanting to do this stuff, or are you just dreaming? I'm like, no, I'm just dreaming, and I just say the stuff that's inside of me, because a lot of times, like, it sounds good, but if you have a good idea and you're not able to share that good idea, then it's like, what's the point? You know. But then if you have somebody who's like, hey, that's a really good idea, but then they bring something into it, kind of like our relationship, Ben. We kind of you'll come here with a topic, and then I kind of add my 2 cents on it, like, oh, it makes it into a better idea.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're working together to make this product better.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, and marriage should be that. You're working together to make that product better.
Oh, yeah.
Are you working together to actually make that marriage better? Are you working together? And, you might be that guy that's stuck at a dead-end job, and you're like, man, I just don't know how to do this. Talk to your wife. And she might be that spouse is like unsupportive and like, oh, you just, well, there's a lot of vulnerability that's involved with this. And it can be painful. It can be hard. But man, when you start going through that grind of making that relationship work, of expressing your dreams, of actually working towards a dream, it's the hard things become enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta grind. That's a good word. It's gonna take a lot of hard pushing and failing, pushing and failing. I tell her, she rejects me. She tells me, I reject her. You know, there's a lot of give and take back and forth. And a guy I used to know, he was in his late 40s. I was in my mid 20s. I had been married for about a year, and he made this statement that if my head could have exploded, it would have exploded.
Mm.
And it was, whatever you're thinking and going through, usually she's probably thinking and going through the same stuff. I was like, my head's gonna explode, because I started paying attention to things she was saying. I opened my ears and shut my dumb mouth for a moment and listened to what she was saying. I'm like, oh my goodness, she's saying what I'm thinking. It might be in her way, it might be from her perspective over her subject and ideas, but I realize the principles of what she's saying are what I'm thinking and going through.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, is this a secret key to marriage?
Yeah.
Did I just get a door open for me by this really nice dude who was just trying to help out?
Yeah.
And it was true. So
You know, and I'll say this in closing too, guys, as far as out there, you may have a lot of ideas and you may express your ideas to your wife and she might tell you, those are just some dumb ideas. But I'm telling you, don't give up. Don't give up in sharing your ideas. Don't give up in sharing your dreams.
I tried that once.
But keep chasing after that dream to where both of you get excited.
Oh, yeah.
If you are able to find that dream to where it's not just you being excited and
Yeah.
she's along for the ride, where she's excited, it's powerful. Because that day when you're chasing that dream and you get to that day where you want to quit, she's going to be like, no, we got to keep on going.
Oh, yeah.
But then when she's going to quit, like, no, we got to keep on going. And you get that synergy. You get that team, you get that dual, that dynamic dual of working together and be like, we want to accomplish this together. We're going to get there. So when you're tired, I'll pick up the slack. When I'm tired, you pick up my slack. And it's enjoyable. And you're working through life and you're accomplishing things. And then your kids see that and they're like, that's the kind of life I want to live.
Oh, yeah.
So, with that being said, guys, thank you for listening to A Mexican and a Redneck Follow the World. We love you and we are proud of you.